The social voting exercise ended yesterday. Generally, it's been described as okay, but there have been a few issues of concern. For me, I heard a story from the Oti region about some policeman or so who, I think, tried to photograph his ballot, and then he was arrested. All right. Then we've also heard of sharing of food and drinks at the polling stations. Then we've seen people actually post images of photos ostensibly or allegedly taken during the voting exercise and putting it on social media. So let me start with Godfrey. I don't know if these incidents are enough to mar the overall process, because I think the general report is that it was smooth and okay. But how concerning are these incidents, particularly when most of the people voting are security officials who are supposed to enforce the law? So why is a policeman taking a photo of his vote when the law is clear that he shouldn't do that? Why is a soldier or a policeman or an immigration officer, a prisons officer, collecting food in a queue when the law says don't do it? You know, I don't know if that's how.
And for me, that goes to the heart of a conversation you and I have had several times on the growth of Ghana's democracy and the growth and improvement in our electoral systems, where yesterday was smooth. All the newspapers are reporting it, and I agree. But that's because we are used to smooth. This is normal.
What do you mean? Like the incidents that
the voting running smoothly. Our elections largely run smoothly.
Generally.
Okay. So it's not new. Okay. But does that mean that our elections have improved? Does that mean that there have been growth in the quality of the elections? And I keep on telling you that no, we have basically left our elections to be show up, vote, go home, count, declare. And
what's the process again? Go into the queue,
show up, vote,
go
home, count, declare.
But that's okay.
No, but that's not just the democracy.
They have to do other things.
There are other things that the Electoral Commission is responsible for.
Okay.
And only the Electoral Commission.
Okay.
In terms of voter education, in collaboration with the NCCE. In terms of letting people understand what their responsibilities are outside of, it's not just about voting. Prior to this election, how many adverts, newspaper publications have you seen that from the EC that tells you that when you enter the polling booth, don't take a photo?
Okay. I have seen a video that EC has been putting on TV with this famous MC doing voter education. Yes. I know. So I've seen it. What he does is vote. He basically, I don't think he talks about the photo though, but he does.
They do voter education.
They do it
of some sort.
NCC does it, and the EC also. At least I've seen it on Channel One News a few times.
And
the MC with the.
Bernard, if it has gone down well, I do not think first and foremost you will have MPs, aspirants, showing up with food. One, because they know that the EC does not take this.
Kabute the MC.
They know that the EC does not take these things at their polling stations. Two, yesterday's crop of voters who are supposed to be the better educated voters, and by that I don't mean in terms of the standard of education, but in terms of understanding what voter rules are.
Because they are law enforcement.
They are law enforcement because they will be enforcing the law. Were in queues collecting food and drinks and money.
They were in queues being given.
And they were taking. So who created that environment then?
So,
because I also saw a video yesterday, for instance, of an EC officer at one polling station telling a branded car, you can't be here. The car left. That is good.
What kind of branded car?
Party branded car.
So once voting is taking place, you can't.
Yes, in the area. The EC office, a very strong woman. She went there and said, "Look, move your car." The guy didn't even talk back. He just sat in the car and drove off. So the polling stations where MPs were blatantly, aspirants or candidates. No, what are they? The candidates.
Yes,
candidates were blatantly distributing money, water, food disguised as soft drinks, disguised as soft drinks, whatever it is that they were doing. Why was it allowed? I saw a video where whilst people were in the queue to vote, candidates were speaking to the people in the queue.
Wow. That is not allowed.
How are you talking to the person who's going to vote when in the queue to vote?
That is not allowed. That is not allowed.
Right in the presence of EC officials.
I have seen a video of the parliamentary candidate for MPP for Ayawaso West Wuogon.
What's she doing?
GH1 video. She's in a queue and drinking water, and there are people with her giving bags.
Of what?
Well, it's a bag. The small bag is like the bag they do at the funeral. Kind of
and the
bag.
people are holding it in the queue.
And then they add water to it. She even drank some of the water, and then they are sharing it.
You see,
and these are prisons officials.
The understanding of every voter should be that when you leave home, you are going to vote, you prepare yourself. These days, because every police station has around 700 people max.
Yes.
You will not be in the queue for 10 hours.
Yes. That queue management has been done. So
yes,
that
the EC has done.
700.
The EC has broken that system down completely. So maximum 2 hours in a decent place.
You are done.
You are done. You need to be fed and sated with water before and given transport.
So you don't see any justification for even humanitarian reason for sharing anything to people in a queue.
It is not part of the electoral process.
It wasn't even a long queue too.
It is not part. You see, and the thing is, man, it should not be allowed.
Because actually an offense.
It is an offense. There's a law to this. And
okay.
The reason why I am harping on this a bit is I want the EC to understand that it should tell its officers, don't do this. Because you see,
enforce the law.
What you are going to, how many presidential candidates are there? 12?
Yes.
13?
I think
12.
12.
Imagine all of them decide to cook with their packs
and go and do.
on election day with their agents. So let's just take your school. Where's the snaps?
It will be called Feed Ghana Project.
Feed Ghana Project.
They will be cooking very well.
We have people in the queue, and there are 13 candidates and their agents also in the queue. All of them with packs, giving everybody. So each person goes home with 13 packs of food. What kind of chaos is this?
So let me ask the question. And would it have been an offense if the food was given after voting?
No,
because this was in the voting queue, which I believe is blatantly wrong.
Okay, it is the law is clear. Before, during, and after, you can't do that.
Before, during, and after.
Yeah. So let me take you to the representation of the people law, which we normally call the PNDC law on elections, and specifically, I'll take you to section 34. Which deals with the offense of treating. I've read this provision.
The offense of treating.
Yeah, treating. I've read this provision here a number of times on this particular platform. Treating, yes. So this is the representation of the people law, 1992, PNDC law 284.
Okay.
And the provision on the offense of treating says, and Bernard, with your permission, let me quote. Section 34, treating. A person commits the offense of treating, A, if he corruptly either himself or through another person, before, during, or after an election, gives or provides or pays wholly or in part the expenses of giving or providing meat.
Enam.
Yes, enam. Drink, entertainment, or provision to or for any person, 1, for the purpose of corruptly influencing that person or another person to vote or refrain from voting, or 2, on account of that person or another person having voted or refrained from voting or being about to vote or refrain from voting.
So basically, don't give anybody anything.
Nothing. Or
and this is clear in the law?
Yes, that's right. If he corruptly accepts, so in this case,
the receiver too is
that's right, you, the officer or the person receiving the meat, accepts or accepts any meat, drink, entertainment, or provision offered in the
But why did they use
circumstances.
meat and not food?
So you read it in the broad sense.
So why did they give vegetables?
Fish.
No, I'm just asking, why did they use meat?
I'll bring fish.
So the law that deals with that says that there are circumstances that may not have been expressly stated in the law. So there's
So once you add meat, drinks,
entertainment,
it's food and drinks.
Yeah, that's right.
And
It
it's money
covers-
listed
No,
there.
the entertainment part is what is
Money
funny.
could be entertainment.
So yeah,
For entertainment, or maybe you bring a comedian to be joking while they are voting. So this PNDC law, what?
Yeah, 284. For provision offered in the circumstances and for the purposes mentioned in paragraph A of this section. And Bernard, if you go into what happens to you if you do something like that, section 41 of the Act.
The same act.
Yeah, penalty and incapacity for corrupt and illegal practices. One says a person convicted of the offense of personation, bribery, treating, which are the two relevant ones here, or undue influence under section 32, 33, 34, or 35 of this law, shall be liable on conviction to a fine not exceeding 1 million Ghana cedis, or to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 2 years, or both.
Prison matter.
Yes.
It's a felony.
Yeah, that's right. And shall for a period of 5 years after the date of the expiration of his term of imprisonment be disqualified from being registered as a voter or
you serious?
voting at a public
This is
election.
pretty serious stuff.
Exactly. So if you are arrested, prosecuted, and convicted, you cannot be registered as a voter for the number of years mentioned, and which means that you cannot also contest in public elections. And in fact, if you read further in the Act, the Electoral Commission is empowered to keep a register of people who have been convicted of these criminal offences to prevent them from
But
voting.
what if in this case the person giving the food is giving to a man like a soldier or a policeman? Because the police obviously are the people who are supposed to enforce this law. And they are the ones. Okay, I didn't see a policeman, by the way, but I saw somebody wearing brown in
Yeah,
the
which
in
would be
the
prison
Legon
officer,
video. So it looks like a prisons officer.
Or fire service, depending
Yes,
on the level
receiving the packs of
Bernard,
food.
Bernard, what is a polling station? It says designated area.
Yes.
It is cordoned off.
Yes.
Once you enter that space, there are rules around that space. So, for instance, I'll read a message from my friend who says he disagrees with me. He says human behavior can be difficult to control at times, and the sharing of food or items during elections cannot solely be blamed on the Electoral Commission. Ghanaian voters have grown accustomed to taking advantage of election periods, as many feel neglected by their leaders
These are
once the
security
elections are
officials.
over.
Charlie, if security officials are collecting food, then what should ordinary Ghanaians
No,
do?
but Bernard, the reason why I'm saying that I insist that the Electoral Commission be responsible for this is it is a restricted area.
Yeah.
It is a particularly designated area.
So somebody cannot come and be sharing food in your queue.
Cannot come there and be sharing food whilst you are watching the person and say that it is human behavior.
You can't do that.
The EC officer has to tell the persons, the candidates, that we do not share food here. We do not distribute money here. How is it even that persons in queues to vote are coming into contact with persons who are not there to vote?
This is a very big issue. Some comments coming through on this matter as we move on.
Okay, so Courage from Kofodia says, I hope we don't just casually discuss the issue and move on. This one is quickly investigated and culprits must be punished. Well, Courage, that is all we can do. We can just discuss. The EC and the police and those who have the power to investigate and punish, they should go and do their job. December.
Well, the special prosecutor says he will investigate. I think they served notice that they were going to investigate that.
That's also fine, but
it is important that by this time the people who were seen in the videos get arrested and charged accordingly, and deeper investigations carried out, and for prosecution to follow. Of course, if you look at the provisions of the Act, it says that the arrest, detention, and charging can be done without the consent of the Attorney General. It is only when it comes to proper prosecution of the people that the consent of the Attorney General is required. Because look, I mean, we cannot allow conducts like this that openly undermine our democratic process to go on unchallenged. It is important that the office of the special prosecutor is seen to be even-handed in how it deals with offenses of the kind we saw yesterday. What happened yesterday undermines the democratic process. It undermines the institutions we are trying to build to govern us. And it should not be allowed. Because if we allow this at the time that the people who are supposed to enforce the law, the police, the security of officers, they are the people who ideally at the polling stations should be arresting people for attempting to bribe people or attempting to treat people. Yet they are the key actors who are benefiting from the videos we have seen, from this unlawful conduct. It is heartbreaking, completely unacceptable. So I expect that the special prosecutor, under whose ambit corruption and corruption-related offenses, not come, should send its officers out, or should cause these people to be invited to their office at Ridge or near Parliament House to answer questions as to why they should not be prosecuted for the conduct that they have put up. Completely unacceptable.
So the special prosecutor has said, I think there was a statement they released
Yesterday,
that they are actually investigating this matter.
Okay.
So I think that's fair. The other question I wanted to ask was in relation to people photographing their ballots. Whether that is also an explicit offense, because that has also come up.
Yeah.
But your ballot is secret.
So I take you to section
49.
No, that's section 31 of the same act I read to you earlier, Representation of the People Law, which actually implements Article 42 basically of the Constitution. It says requirement of secrecy. Section 31, 1 says every election officer, clerk, interpreter, candidate, election agent or polling agent on duty at a polling station shall maintain and help in maintaining the secrecy of voting, and shall not, except for a purpose authorized by law, communicate to any person any information as to. Then it goes on to list the things that are not allowed. The name of a voter who has not applied for a ballot paper or voted at a polling station, or B, the number on the register of a voter who has or has not applied for a ballot paper or voted at a polling station, or C, the official mark. Now, the very relevant one for purposes of people who are taking photograph of their ballot papers. No person shall, this is subsection 3, no person shall, A, interfere with or attempt to interfere with a voter when recording his vote. So when you are in a ballot paper trying to attempt, nobody is supposed to come and interfere with that.
When recording?
Yeah, when you are recording, like when you are thumb printing.
Is that what it means by recording a
Yes,
vote?
when you're recording it, yes.
Okay.
Now, B,
Recording is using a camera to record it.
B, obtain or attempt to obtain in a polling station information about the candidate for whom a voter in that station is about to vote or has voted.
So you can't do exit polls at the place. You can only do it at in the person's when it leaves the presence of the place or what.
Then B, C says communicate at any time to any person any information obtained in a polling station about the candidate for whom a voter in that station has voted or is about to vote, or about the number, if any, on the ballot paper given to a voter at that station. Or D, directly or indirectly induce a voter, which is the very relevant one here, to display his ballot paper after he has marked or selected it so as to make known to another person the name of the candidate for whom he has or has not voted. So this D is what is particularly relevant to the situation we are talking about, because the people who went to vote allegedly recorded their
so
voting.
you cannot record your vote.
Yeah, and for purposes of showing it to another person as to indicate who you voted for or who you have not voted for. That is a criminal offense. And again, if you are caught, prosecuted, and convicted, you are getting at least 2 years.
Let's deal with the first issue of sharing of items. So I have on the line Lydia Alhassan, MP for Ayawaso West Wuogon, who is in the eye of this storm. Indeed, we've seen videos of her with some people sharing items to people in a queue. Good morning, Honorable Lydia. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
Well,
and good morning to your listeners. Good morning to my constituents.
Great. So I've seen a video of you in the queue yesterday at the Legon police station polling station with some other people giving items to the people in the voting queue. So we saw water and then we saw a white bag which was being handed over to, these are prisons officers in the queue. What were you doing there? Was that you in the video, and were you actually at the polling station in the queue giving people things?
Thank you very much, Bernard. Bernard, yesterday, as you're all aware, is special voting day, and as a stakeholder, I have to be there to also monitor and supervise the process. So yes, yesterday I happened to be there. Yesterday, just as we do regularly, we sent food to be given to our team, food to be given to our agents and our staff, and some of your staff. In fact, your gentleman who recorded or videoed, I don't know if he did, but he interviewed me, was also fed yesterday. And all other journalists, almost all of them there, were fed by my team yesterday. It was in the process that I was told that someone asked my women organizer, who happens to be in charge of welfare and does these things, that, oh, what is it that they're giving? Can I also have one? So in giving that person one, he ended up giving a few others also. I saw them with water. I bent down. In the video that's gone viral, I bent down to take water, as you can see, and drank the water and left. After I left, I was told there was an incident. I was not there. I didn't know what happened. So upon my return, just when I was coming back and I came in, your reporter asked my view about the incident that occurred here. Honestly, I didn't even know, and he was asking me for the first time, or I was getting to know about it for the first time. So that is what I was responding to, that I wasn't here, and I am here to find out from my team what happened. I see no why this response will just be attached or added to the package that were being given out. It was completely a different response, a different question that I was responding to. It was much, much later that I saw a video and all these things, and for my opponent to be mentioning and calling me names.
Okay. So let's take it one by one. The video I'm referring to is a GH1 video. And in that video, a lady is wearing a dark blue dress. You are wearing a jeans trouser and a white top with a bag with a blue cap. And a gentleman is wearing a light green shirt. And I see about 6 prisons officials, another lady in jeans, and somebody in green. They are in a queue to vote. And the ladies with you.
I have seen.
Yes, I'm saying that. So that's the question I'm asking. I'm asking about that, because that is giving food to people who are about to vote. That is illegal.
Then I said, one of them requested for the package that was being given out. And in giving it to him, the lady decided, out of a good heart, that others may also be in need of it. and so decided to give it out to them. And yes, I happened to be around. I took water, but the request didn't come to me. It was later that she told me that this is what, when all of this was going around, that she told me that this is what transpired.
So, but Section 32 of the PNDC law on representation of the people is very clear that giving food or water or money to somebody who is about to vote, who is voting, or who has voted is a criminal offense called treating, and that should not be allowed. So what the lady was doing there with you is actually a criminal offense. Are you aware?
Hello, Bernard.
Yeah, I'm saying that Section 34 of the PNDC law on representation of the people is very clear that giving people in a queue before they vote, during voting, or after voting, food, drink, money, or entertainment is a criminal offense called treating, and is an offense punishable either by a fine upon conviction or of a jail term. So it's a criminal offense to do what was being done there with you and the lady in that queue.
Bernard, you didn't see me giving out food, giving out a package to the people in the queue. You didn't see me doing that. I took water, and so she was asked. It was a request that came to her, and in an attempt to provide that, she ended up giving to 2 other people, or 2, 3 or more other people in the queue. So yes, she will deal with it.
Okay, the law doesn't say whether if the person asks you or not. The law is clear that if you give somebody food or water or money whilst they are about to vote, during voting or after voting, is an offense. So whether she was asked or not does not arise. And you as an MP who is a lawmaker, standing there seeing her do that and not doing anything about it is actually also a problem.
Bernard, as you gladly said, didn't see me giving it out to them. And Bernard, for me, yes, that one is also there to be handled, and that one is there to be dealt with. I was told the office of the speaker was there yesterday, so they would definitely handle that part. But the part that affects me is what your reporter asked me. The response that I gave to him, he ended up doing something else. And that is not good. That definitely is not good. We are in this season. We must all be mindful about it. I am a person of peace. I continue to preach peace. I continue to demonstrate it. So when people do things that try to move away from that, it hurts me. It hurts me very, very much.
Okay, let me understand what you're saying. You're saying that my reporter interviewed you afterwards on a different issue, but the story was presented as having been about the food sharing, for which you are not happy.
And so no. So what is out there is like I was asked about that. I was there doing it. I was in the middle of it, and I denied it.
Okay, so he was asking you a question about a different incident.
Yes, and I said I wasn't there. I'm just coming.
Fair enough. So that is clear. So I think that point has to be made.
No, but I want that to be clarified. I want.
Okay, so and that's why I'm putting on air. So you're saying that your response to our reporter, when he asked you whether you were there and you said you were not there, had to do with the security man who was allegedly.
It was not even the security man. There was an incident that when the NDC raised an issue, there was an incident there, and that is what he was trying to clarify for me. And I responded to him that I wasn't even there. So for you to put that together and say that I was asked about food sharing and I was right there in the middle, and I'm denying that I wasn't there.
Okay, fair enough. So we have made the point that you did not deny that you were not there. You've actually admitted that you were there and you were drinking water. I've seen you in the video. The lady standing next to you is supposed to be your agent, correct?
She's a women organizer. She's in charge of welfare, and it's her responsibility to ensure that the agents are reps and everyone concerned is fair. You see, we go there from morning and end up leaving there sometimes at 8 or 10.
Yes.
You can't keep people.
Yeah, first, that practice, that welfare practice that your women organizer was doing is a criminal offense. And I'm putting it to you that whether she was there for welfare or not, the law says she can't do what she was doing. And she was doing it with you standing there watching her as you drank water. And she gave about 5 people the same package.
The law enforcers will handle that bit. But what I want to clarify is that your reporter misquoted me and misrepresented the case, and I want to make that clear.
Yes, we will definitely correct that. But do you condemn the action of your women organizer because she was sharing food to security people in a queue?
I do.
Before the vote.
I'm saying that I'm glad the law enforcers were there and they will handle it.
But the law enforcers were the one collecting the food, so how would they handle it?
A special prosecutor was there also.
But is this a practice that has to stop? Because when you said this is something that is normal, but clearly it's a violation of the law.
The normal practice that I said is that both parties across this country, we make provision for officers who are coming there to work. We make provision for even journalists who are coming there to work. And ask your reporter if we didn't provide that for him.
Well, I cannot confirm that here because you are not supposed to give. Yes, you are not supposed to give. You are not supposed to give. No. You don't have any evidence that my reporter took anything from you. So I don't think it's fair for you to come on there and say my reporter took food from you. The video evidence is very clear. Your women organizer was giving items to people in a queue to vote. That's the evidence we have. That's what we are dealing with. Whether I give people afterwards is not really the issue. And I'm asking, as a lawmaker, are you aware of this law? And do you condemn the action of a women organizer because it sets a wrong example? You should not be giving people food in a queue to vote.
I do it all at the same time. And that I'm glad special prosecutor was there and they will handle it. They are handling it. That is why they came there and they will investigate it and they will handle it.
Now, even my reporter did not take direct food from you. In fact, we've spoken to him. What did he say?
So, according to Samuel Akom, the food was given to the district commander who was there by Madam Seiram's team, after which the district commander called the reporters who were on duty to his office and distributed the food.
So, that's not people voting in a queue that they were collecting food.
So, when people are doing things out of good heart, people are doing things, they see that, as my mother, they have been there since morning. They needed to refuel. And if we do that, should that be used against us?
No, you can whatever you are doing out of a good heart should also conform to the law. So I think the voting area is a security area. It's a special area. So to be seen to be giving people who are about to vote food, that's why the law states that explicitly. I'm not the one writing the law. So there are other ways of making people comfortable, but to the extent that the law is clear that when somebody is about to vote or is voting or has just finished voting, they should not be given those items. I'm not the one creating it. It's a law that was passed and it's part of our laws. So as an MP, you should be condemning the actions of your women organizer and asking that nobody should do that.
I did that, Bernard. I did that.
So can we take it that going forward, this practice will not continue of sharing food at polling stations?
Bernard, you cannot completely stop that because there are officers, there are your own team that must be fed.
No, we have not asked you to feed anybody. We feed our people. And I'm sure the people who put the EC officers, they also feed them. It's not your responsibility to feed anybody at a polling station. It's not part of your job. Hello?
Hello, Bernard.
Yes, I'm saying that yes, people have to be fed, but there are people who send them, they who feed them. It's not your job to feed them.
Bernard, ask your people. Ask them what transpired yesterday. Ask them if they didn't go asking for food. Ask them. Ask them. Bernard, as for the officers, yes, I condemn that. And for the other staff and other teams, it's a practice. And I don't think that you would want your agents who are going to sit there from morning till sometimes midnight to be seated there without being fed.
Fair enough.
How would they survive?
Well, the people who send them, they will decide. And also, let it not seem as if I'm picking on you. It's because a video has come out with you in it. You've said that this is something many people do. And so maybe this is a good example for us to educate the world that a democracy of 31 years old should not be seen handing food, drinks, and whatever to people who are about to vote, particularly men in uniform. It sends a very bad picture about the kind of democracy we have. A good heart notwithstanding, we cannot treat people in this way and expect that people will believe that we are practicing the right democracy. Is wrong. Yes?
So Bernard, if you happen to be there, you happen to be the welfare officer, and you have water, and there are people in queue asked you for water, would you deny them?
So maybe let me make it practical.
Bernard,
maybe if there was
Bernard, just give me that response.
I wouldn't send the water there, so I can't even answer. What I'm saying is that if there was if you go to a voting booth, everybody has a responsibility. The reporter's job is to go and cover what's happening. The voter is to vote and go home. The agent is to observe the process and report it. There's no role for a welfare officer in that process. That welfare officer is your internal arrangement. And whatever the welfare officer does should not violate any law. So as for me, whether I will give somebody water or not is not really the question. We are saying that our voting process should be clean and given particularly security officials, which is the problem. This is special voting. So imagine if we have just normal Ghanaians. If security officers need food for standing in the queue for 20 minutes, then what do ordinary and unemployed Ghanaians demand? And how can we continue? That's the point. So it's not about me picking on you, and it's not about me trying to be unreasonable. The law is clear, and we must all obey it. That's just how to build a democracy. Simple. Are you there?
Bernard, I am here. And as I said, you're trying to defend your guy, but I've made my point, and I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you for clarifying as well, and also the error the reporter committed is regretted, and the right corrections will be made. I can assure you of that.
But there appears to be a deliberate attempt by my opponents to constantly pick on me, constantly insult me at the least opportunity. Not too long ago, we were all in this country when this gentleman was given opportunity to express himself at an event. He picked on me and started saying things. A woman who is still in pain with so many children. My children are in school. This young man sat on TV and said that I killed my husband for votes.
But those allegations were not made here and should not be repeated. Actually, they shouldn't even be repeated. If those allegations were made, they are completely unacceptable and despicable.
Sat on your TV and mention names and use words that I can't even repeat here. And this same young man is the one who wants to lead this constituency. My constituents are. I am a woman of peace. They do all this. I continue to maintain the peace. I respect my constituents. I wouldn't do anything that will tarnish this high-end reputation. This constituency is an elite constituency. We have all kinds of people here. Let's respect them.
All right. We apologize for any distress the whole process may have caused you in terms of the reportage. And as I say, this was a chance for you to clarify the reporting and also to comment on the video, and we have done that. So I want to thank you for your time. And
I stand for peace.
Honestly,
I encourage my constituents to come out in their numbers on 7 December to vote and vote for peace, vote for development, vote for progress, I have been able within the 4 years brought numerous developmental projects into this constituency. We didn't used to have a secondary school. For the first time in the history of this constituency, we are commissioning our constituency, our secondary school or our SHS. This is progress. This is development. Bernard, you have driven across this city. You have seen that the road network in my constituency is one that has been paid attention to. We have added, Bernard, give me 2 minutes.
Go ahead.
We have added many schools to the schools that we had here. We have constructed hospitals. I have personally paid for over 2,000 students, over 2,000 university students.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam. And I just need to clarify that we have spoken to Sami Akom and he never asked anybody for food. Godfrey spoke to, where is he? You spoke to him this morning?
I spoke to him.
Yes, so the allegation that our reporter is not correct, but we have dealt with that. He explained that food was given to the police.
The district commander.
To share.
Yes.
Good. Now, and I need to make a clarification again. So, the MP felt aggrieved that an interview is given to our reporter on a different issue was sort of
turned around.
Aired as part of a separate issue because there was already an issue around an incident that occurred which our reporter interviewed her on, and in the editing we don't know whether it was an error from him or from the editing team. There appears to be, so basically she's saying that she did not deny that she was in the queue, but the interview was suggesting that she denied it when she was seen Philly in the queue, which she was trying to correct. So that's point one. But point two is that now being in the queue, her women organizer standing next to her was sharing items. What we see in the video is her drinking water. So if you look at the video, you don't see her actually handing over herself personally the item, but you see her women organizer in blue, dark blue, handing those things over, which we managed to extract a condemnation from her out of. But I think, Sky, we need to make this point very clear that you see the fact that something is normalized, because it sounds like it's done everywhere and it's a normal thing all politicians do. So why are you picking on me? Well, the video showed you and your organizer in that queue. So it's a good opportunity for us to learn. Do you follow my logic? So I don't want anybody to see this as all the reports of sharing of items everywhere else. Why are we picking on only this person? This is the video that has come. And the video she has not denied. Which is why this is a very important interview to make people realize that these practices we do, which we have normalized in our democracy, has to stop.
You see, Bernard, I've watched the video several times, and I've also heard Madam Siriam's explanation of the situation, and it goes on to reinforce the point I was making as to why the EC needs to be strict. See, in all this, if the EC had done its job, because even when you watch the video, the EC officials were less than a meter away. They were seated from the distribution of the food and water by the so-called welfare officer, the women's organizer who was there.
Yeah.
They sat there and did nothing. Because two, we understand from what Sky has said, there is no way a candidate in an election should even be that close to a voter in the first place.
Yeah.
Whether she was drinking water, whether she was stretching her legs, there are boundaries. She was basically in the face of prospective voters.
Yeah.
It is wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. Third, this normalized, we are giving food to people out of the goodness of our heart, per the law, corrupts. Why? Because it is not the norm. In the everyday life of that voter, are you the person who would buy the person, him or her, food and water? No. No, I'm just saying, forget that. Even if it were Sky and I and Bernard and yourself in the queue, are you the person who buys me water on the daily? Are you the one who gives me food at lunch? No. So why is it that suddenly on the day that I am voting, you find it out of the goodness of your heart to provide me food and water? That is because perhaps you want to get something from me. That speaks to a transaction. That speaks to clientelism. That speaks to the quality of the elections that are being eroded that we are talking about.
Very important.
We need the EC, same as they did yesterday. Based on this, they shouldn't let this go.
Issue a statement on
issue a statement clearly to the officers and say,
no food
on Saturday,
items, nothing.
Nobody should put up a kitchen in any of the polling stations.
Yeah.
Parties and their agents, they know how they get fed.
Yeah.
Reporters, when they are going, they know how they get fed. You've covered elections way longer than I have. I've run elections at other media houses that I've worked at. We make provisions for our reporters. Cars go around at certain times. We bring them food to eat.
Yeah.
It is organized properly.
Let me talk to Sami Akom and just to clarify two issues. So, Sami, thanks for joining us. So, you were at Ayawaso West Wuogon yesterday. When did you get there and how long were you there for? Maybe let's start with that.
Okay, thank you very much, Bernard. Good morning. I was at Ayawaso West Wuogon, Legon Police Station specifically, which is right in front of the University of Ghana main entrance. And I got there, I think, about 40 minutes before the start of the exercise, the special voting exercise. So I witnessed when polling agents were verifying the details and the items to be used for the election, together with the Electoral Commission, before at 7 a.m. the entire process started.
Good. So, at what point did you interview the MP? At what point did you interview her?
Okay.
And what was the interview about?
Yes, I had series of interviews with her yesterday. The first was the start of polls. I mean, because polls had begun, I had to get their thoughts. I spoke to her voting exercise. So I witnessed when polling agents were verifying the details and the items to be used for the election, together with the Electoral Commission, before at 7 a.m. the entire process started.
Good. So, at what point did you interview the MP? At what point did you interview her?
Okay.
And what was the interview about?
Yes, I had series of interviews with her yesterday. The first was the start of polls. I mean, because polls had begun, I had to get their thoughts. I spoke to her. I didn't speak to her alone. I spoke to her opponent, John Dumelo, as well. That was the first part of the interview. Then second part of the interview was when John Dumelo and the team were raising concerns that food was being shared in the queue before the electorate go to vote. And then the camp attributed it to Lydia because even in the video, you could see her pick water and then give to some people. So I think that is why they attributed it to her. And even the person who was sharing the food was someone who was staying with her throughout the day. And so when that happened, I interviewed John Dumelo. And then later, I caught up with Lydia because we needed to get her side of the story as well. So I met her and then I interviewed her on the issue. So while interviewing her on the issue, and then she chipped in the security officer at Legon, who was seen in a viral video saying what he said. And she was clarifying that even that person as an NDC executive, and so that video shouldn't even be taken into consideration. And that it is her opponents who are trying to use that video against her. So she spoke on that. And then she spoke on the food, also saying that personally for her, she had been there since morning. And then at a point, she just stepped away. It was when she stepped away that she came to hear that this is what has happened. So it was one interview, but she answered two questions.
Did you ask her specifically about the Legon security issue, or she volunteered that information?
She just gave it out. She just said it. She just mentioned it.
So you were interviewing her on the allegation of food sharing.
Yes.
And in the course of that interview, she made that point as well. Fair enough. But in your report, the response that I heard you play, where she said I was not there and the guy's an NDC guy, that report in relation to the security man or in relation to the food sharing?
So the part where she said she was not there and that she had been there since morning, that part is for the food sharing. I have the full tape. I think if it will be needed, the full audio or video says that she had been there since morning and all of us could confirm, that was in the interview, that was according to her, and that it was only during that point that she stepped away briefly. And when she returned, she came to meet that. So she doesn't really know what has happened unless we brief her.
So in your report, you captured both her reaction to the food sharing and a reaction to the Legon security issue.
The Legon security issue, yes, please.
So it appears people may have cut that part on the security issue as her denying that she was there, for which is upset that that aspect was in relation to something else. Because it looks like there's a social media video trending of that response as well. But was that edited by you, or this is basically online? Because I think she accused you of essentially using that response in relation to the food sharing, which you're saying you did not do.
But when you look at the report, right, you realize that her insert was quite short, and then it was in two parts. The first part was when she was saying, "Oh, it was propaganda. I mean, it has been propaganda in this election." And then she has a good temperament. I remember she said she has a good temperament and all. But in terms of the food issue, she was not around. She stepped out briefly, and then she returned only to come to hear that. So unless we brief her, that is what is captured in the report.
Wonderful. She also accused you. She said you people ask for food, and that she gave you food, or that you were giving food, not she, that you were giving food that you asked for. Did you ask for food at the program?
It was really surprising to hear, because Bernard, the whole day we were there, right? Journalists, our companies provided us with food, water, and all. And I can tell you, around 8 a.m., the electoral commission officer came to us and was like, "Oh, so journalists are speaking to the police commander. You are going to use this district command, this office, which the inscription is district command center, yes, that room for journalists." We were about 15 journalists, the likes of, Kweku Asante and other people who were in that room and were carrying out a reportage. So when you want to charge your phone, you go to that room to charge. Nobody asked there for food. So I was out doing my usual things. Then when I got back, they mentioned that she has sent a welfare person, someone has been there to give 17 packs of food. And 17 packs of food, she did not even hand it over to me. It was to GH1, it was one of our reporters, one of the reporters. She was like a liaison, or I don't know how to put it, but she received it on behalf of all journalists. So I was quite surprised. She said I came to ask her for food, and she handed over the food to me.
But
and all journalists who were present could confirm.
So the commander or the superintendent gave you his office to work, and then you people also use his office for your breakfast room. you converted his office to a dining hall. Is that
no, please, we didn't convert, but that was where we took shelter. I don't know how to put it, but when you are tired, that's where you go to rest. In case you need to send something to the office, you go there, you open your laptop, and you work with it. So most journalists, that was where we were stationed. And when there is a situation, from time to time, we come to monitor how things are faring and all. So it was
okay. So when did you leave the place eventually?
At the end of polls, I left after they sent all the ballot boxes. They secured everything at the Legon police station. The polls ended. I sat for a while waiting for a car. Company car came, picked me up, and then we left the place around 6:58. Yes, around 6:58. That was when we left. Even at that time, I remember another incident happened with the incumbent MP. I think a reporter from GH1 sent a story, and she and her team were on her to pull the story down because they said it was not really as it was. So that situation happened. We had to speak to the police present to go and settle the matter and all before they allowed him to go. So all of that, I think I was the only journalist I was the last journalist to leave the place as at 7-1 under the supervision of the police commander. She even came to ask, "Oh, are you okay? Is your car coming?" We confirmed that yes, it is coming. And then the car came and we left the place.
So finally, in retrospect, the way you treated the story, do you suppose there's a better way of doing it so that the confusion, of course, that's not the main issue here. The issue is about food sharing. But to the extent that there's been some confusion about the insert, is there a way you're going to deal with it in future? or essentially to bring more clarity?
Yes, I think for clarity, probably because the minute or the seconds was quite short, so people will cut the part they want to use it the way they want. But if it were the full 3 or 4 minute interview, that would have painted a better picture. So I think going forward, as much as possible, need to cut a part where there is much information for people not to be able to misinterpret it or see it in a different light.
Thank you for your work, and I really am proud of your work. Thank you, Samuel Akom, who hosts the constituency and was covering the Ayawaso West Wuogon constituency yesterday. And this is all in relation to a video that has emerged of food sharing. And I think Sky has made the point very clearly. Article 34, Section 34 of the PNDC law on representation of the people is very clear that you cannot and should not share food, water, money, entertainment before, during, and after within the precincts of a polling center or an election area. And this is the real crux of the matter. There are other issues as well.
But we know they will, which is why, again, we need the EC.
Because to issue a statement.
They will do it. Saturday, every parliamentary candidate across the country, they have their chefs cooking already.
And who are they feeding?
They are feeding whoever it is they will feed there.
Because, no, hold on. I do know that they give their agents food. Their agents are not there to vote. They are there to work for them. The law Sky read is very clear. A voter.
Yes.
All right. There's an average of 700 voters per polling station.
Yes, please.
There are probably in some constituencies 200 polling stations. So if you're going to feed everybody, that's a big undertaking.
Bernard,
I do not know if they actually do feed all voters.
Bernard,
I'm not sure if they do.
Bernard, all we are saying is let the EC put out the notice
to clarify that
clearly
it is not allowed.
That nobody should even get. You see, my concern is how close.
Yeah.
Anything can happen. No.
Yes, true.
Really, you see, really Bernard, you see, this is special
the
voting.
Voters should even be allowed
Bernard,
to be in a separate.
Bernard,
yes.
Imagine a flashpoint constituency.
Yeah.
At one of its polling stations, where a candidate gets this close to a voter in the queue.
Some way.
What will happen?
Yeah, you are right. It's not the space. The way that it was messy.
You are supposed to be at a certain distance.
And by the way, this
is
a police station. By the way,
observe.
This is a police station. Oh. So imagine a voting
and do your job.
And Bernard, people are going to vote and they are carrying whatever they've received from the people, and they are going to the voting booth with what they have received.
Terrible.
It's not a good picture.
Sky, let me give you the last word.
Okay, you see, this is a major indictment on even the police station that was used for purposes of yesterday's exercise, which is creating this problem. They are supposed to be the law enforcement institution policing the process. That's why Dr. Dampare has been talking to all kinds of people, inviting them for discussions on the matter. What happened yesterday is a major blot. And it is important that the matter is investigated and the people responsible are brought to book. The reason being that for far too long we've seen this thing happen. The OSP, there was a DCE who went to give money allegedly to some people to vote for him to become DCE. The people didn't vote for him, so he got angry and was demanding the money. Of course, we saw video and all of those things of that. The special prosecutor was supposed to be prosecuting it as we speak. The man hasn't been convicted, or nothing has happened to that. It's not traveled the full course of trial, and that is disappointing. So it is important that this matter is dealt with appropriately. And I must say that there are penalties, as I mentioned, for things like that. And where your agent does it for and on your behalf, that is also punishable. The question is whether you knew or ought to have known that what was happening in your name. In fact, in some cases, if the results show that you benefited from this conduct, this criminal conduct, in fact, the election process, the law requires the judge to say that you did not win the election, your opponent actually won the election. So people who are doing this thing should be careful. And Bernard, I want to make a quick point about those of us journalists, just to draw our attention to the requirements of Article 3 of the GJ Code of Ethics. It deals with professional integrity. It says journalists should not accept bribe or any form of inducement to influence the performance of his or her professional duties. I'm reading it just for purposes of information. As colleagues go out there to do what they are doing, you should be guided by this particular requirement under Article 3 of the Code of Ethics. And then also, finally, if you look at the general guidelines published by the GJA, there is also a requirement imposed on us that we should not accept inducement and all manner of things. So please, let's be guided accordingly.
Thank you.